All right, everyone. Thanks again, once again, for holding tight. As always, I'm a little bit late, but like I always say, better late than never. Great to be back on live and have all you listening in. And of course, those that are maybe tuning in after this is concluded. Definitely, there's a lot to cover. And for those that are maybe newer to this channel, understand there's going to be a lot of discussion with people in the chat before we get to the information. But once again, thanks again, everybody, for joining in. Let's take a look here. We have, I saw Ramina, of course, my main moderator, as everybody knows. And let's take a look here. 1 second, everyone. Let's see here. All right. And there she is. Thanks so much, El Despertar Ramina, once again, for all the help behind the scenes with the research, being a great friend, and so much more. Let's take a look at who else we have here. And and there she is. There she is right there. And let's take a look who we got here. We got Christopher. Great to see you in there, brother. Long time supporter. Thanks so much, brother, for tuning in. Always awesome to see you in there. Let's see what else we got here. Alex T. Great to see you in there. CDs and stuff. Better than gold, brother. Awesome. Always awesome to see you in the chat. And also to we of course we communicate on Patreon. I appreciate the support, brother, so very much. And of course, another great supporter, Barry Duncan in New Zealand. Fantastic supporter of the channel, as always. Appreciate you so very much. Let's see what we got in here. Ravi Seth. He says, hi, RV. Thanks for from Canada. Thanks, Ravi, for that, for tuning in from Canada. And Ramina, you're very welcome. And it's well deserved. Thank you so much for all your help. Again, I can't thank you enough for everything. And definitely we'll get into something later on that Ramina and I were discussing the other day, a specific movie, and that will be part of the screen share later on. And Daryl Dessa, great brother. Appreciate you so very much. Let's see what we got in here. Rage 7520 under the weather as almost fell asleep waiting. I'll tell you this, like I said about the quote under the weather, basically your body temperature is too low. You gotta get your body temperature up, and that's the main thing. And under the weather, more or less, your body's just healing itself. And once again, Jason 410, great supporter. Thanks so much. He goes, hey, family. Thanks so much, brother, for all the support once again. Can't thank you enough, brother. Thanks so much. And I see Shadow World Shadow. Great to see the respect, OG. Thanks so much for that. And build it. Praise Jesus Christ. Absolutely. And great to see you in there, brother. And I see who do we got here? S. Holland 42. Lightning wrong side of the moon is my favorite. All right. And Karen Lee, another great supporter of the channel. I'm making shells, macaroni, melted feta, grape tomatoes, super. Sounds good. Sounds really good, actually, Karen. And you're making me hungry. That sounds really good. All right, let's see what we got here before we get started with the screen share. And I see Sunflower in there. Great to see you in there. And let's see what we got here. Before we get to the information, and as always, 76 Mark on my Facebook page here on YouTube. Always an awesome dude, great supporter. Appreciate you, brother, so very much. All right. All right, Shanna Gonzalez. She goes, I got you on BitChute All right. And I understand BitChute's going through some issues with the founder, is it the co-founder, owner, CEO, whatever the title is. He had some issues, and that's unfortunate. He's trying to run an alternative type of platform, and it's obviously not going too smooth. Having issues with banks and all this, frozen account. He's going through a lot of issues, so hoping for the best. And I believe his name is Ray. Hoping the best for Ray. Going through all these issues for the sake of truth, and we all know about that. But you know, being at this for so very long, um, we know how difficult that can be. And good to see Stupid in there. All right, and I see John 14:6. All right, I'm not sure how long this stream will go. We'll see. Usually I'll say it only goes for a couple hours and it goes on for a tremendous amount of time. We'll see. And I know Matthew about Bush. Yeah. I don't argue with that. All right, let's see what else we get here. Who else we got here? Yeah, Rocky Shepherd. Great to see you back on board. Of course, you're on last live stream. I appreciate that, brother. And Indiana as well. And let's see what else we got here. And the hearts from Barry. Great to see that. And another great brother. Actually, you have Barry from New Zealand, and just across, Frank Censored in Australia. So you have the New Zealand Australian connection right there. Carlos Gonzalez, 100%, brother, 100% flat and stationary. And that gets into, which I won't cover today, some at some other point, but I'll go in a little bit right now since you brought it up. There's that Del character in Scotland, and he's constantly pushing this movement of Earth, accelerating up. Imagine all the trillions of gallons of water, all the mountains, all this whole world. What is pushing up this world? Unbelievable, really unbelievable. And again, just briefly, this just coincides with the Flat Earth Society, of course. And there's nothing new under the sun. And for those that don't know who Del is, he's a supposed flat earther in Scotland. Basically, he's tattooed up with all these Illuminati Freemasonic symbolism, and basically a walking billboard for the Illuminati. And that's what he is. That's what he is. And a lot of times people say, "Oh, I was into this, into that, but I reformed. I'm no longer into that type of stuff." But they are. That's just a cover, of course. All right, Ken, listening in from Tampa, Florida. Awesome. Very, very cool. Thank you for listening in there in Tampa. And Next Spasm, another great supporter. Appreciate you, brother, so very much. Been around tremendous amount of time as a truther. Thanks so much. And Brian, shout out. Absolutely. You got it right there, brother. All right. We're about to get started. We've been going for about, let's see, about almost 10 minutes now. And let's see what we got here. Oh, great to see Anatoko. Peace and love, RV in chat. Awesome to see you back here. Another one that's dedicated to the live streams. And this one is I kind of have the strategy of starting off slow and then working my way up. Not getting into the heavy stuff in the beginning, just little by little. And we'll get into what needs to be covered. And basically, this is the way I see it before even doing the screen share. Sometimes I rattle the cage, and some people don't like that. They say it's troublemaker, whatever. The way I see it is, if I see something off, I have to say something about it. and there's a lot off with the so-called truth community, and someone has to police it. And I'm putting myself in that position to do that because there's too much nonsense and too much controlled truth, quote truth, being put out there on YouTube, and I see it. It's so obvious to me, and the connections I make, that I will make, and I have made, and I continue to make, will be undeniable. It's undeniable. But the problem is, it's like this. Try to tell someone that follows Jimmy Swaggart, Joel Osteen, TD Jakes, Benny Hinn, that these people are basically deceivers. They're not going to handle it well, especially when they, put a few $100 in the offering plate or whatnot, and they're already embedded with them. They already have their heart, their mind believing these people. That's the same thing with a lot of these so-called truthers who are not really truthers. A lot of people are invested in that emotionally, mentally, and there's no way out. They're caught in the web, and that's what needs to be called out. And very few, like I said, there are very few people really doing it. And I'm not just doing it just to do it. It needs to be done. It needs to be done. And here's the thing: is for people new to the information that I provide about this, just take a look at it, let it process, let it absorb. And again, what I'm going to show tonight is definitely undeniable. And like I said, we'll get into that later. That's going to be a little bit later on. I want to show some other stuff, the latest happenings and whatnot, before we get to that. All right, let's see what else we got in here. I thought I saw. Oh, there he is right there. I am a man. Don't understand. Great to see you in there. Brother, great to see you in there. And Rebecca Ringler, a longtime supporter. Appreciate that. Owen Moore, the raccoon avatar. UK here. Hi, everyone. Good to see you in there. Once again, Owen Moore. We're definitely, with the name Owen, we'll be getting into Owen Benjamin later, for sure. And let's see what we got here. NASA Lives, great to see you in there. Force line, water level, not spinning. Antarctic Treaty. All right. All right, let me check something else here. What is this here? Yeah, that's great. Mike V, great to see you in there. Glad you caught me live. And yeah, absolutely. I scheduled this, I don't know, was it maybe 12 hours ago? I try to give a little bit of, people know some people just jump aboard a live stream without notice. I try to give some type of notice, at least, 12 hours, it'd be ideal if I gave a 24-hour notice at least. But sometimes I don't know when I'm going to have an open window. So I just kind of, play it by ear. And thanks so much for that, brother. I appreciate that. That super by Daryl Dessa. Thanks so much, brother. You there in Canada. Appreciate that. You've been generous over the years, and, I can't thank you enough, brother, for that. You've been consistent with that. And, man, that's humbling, and very, very grateful for that. All right, let's take a look here. I'm going to take a look at a couple things before I go to the screen share. Thanks for that, brother. Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, it's good to be back live again. It's been a while, not too long. It's been a little while since I've been live, so it's good to be live here. Yeah, Magical Drop. Thanks for that. I appreciate that. All right, Grimlock Volek, great to see you in there. Thanks for tuning in. Appreciate that. And thanks again, Daryl Dessa. And absolutely, like I said here, Magical Giraffe. Thank you. And let's see what else we got here. Oh yeah, thanks for that, El Despertar Ramina. And this is my official Twitter handle. Obviously, just like the YouTube channel, They Live Truth. Definitely posting some topics on that platform. That Elon Musk, of course, is so quote his platform, but give me a break. He's just a figurehead. Like I said before, SpaceX, Tesla, Twitter. What's he going to own next? Give me a break. Give me a break. It's an absolute joke. And great to see him there. Flat Earth Warriors, great supporter. And also definitely subscribe to the Flat Earth Warriors. He has some good Flat Earth stuff on his channel. So definitely take the time to subscribe to the Flat Earth Warriors. He has some good finds. And that's one thing I appreciate. Said it before. I appreciate when there's people, on YouTube that have channels and they're hunting for stuff. They're looking for stuff. And to me, that's really important. Digging out, looking for new information. It's good to share what's known to people, but we got to keep digging, keep looking for the information, new information as we move forward. And absolutely, and thanks again, the Flat Earth Warriors. And absolutely, I am a man, don't understand. Fake X. Yeah, they love that X, by the way. X means no, of course. As far as SpaceX, not going to space. All right, let's see what else we got here. I gotta take a look. Oh, good to see Alan in there. Great to see him there. And let's see what else we got here. All right. I think we're doing pretty good here. But I want to check something on the I want to check something here, the YouTube side of things. Just hold tight, everyone. I got to check something here on YouTube. All right, just on the YouTube side, I just want to take a quick peek and see what's going on that side of things. And actually, let me take a quick peek here. And I'm gonna add a Flat Earth Warriors definitely as a moderator. Let's see what else we got here. Anybody else that I missed? Yeah, hold tight, everyone. I'm adding some. Let me see here what he got here. Let me just adding some moderators in here while I'm scrolling around here. Just bear with me, everyone. And Alex T, didn't forget you. And yeah, we need you guys. So let's see what else we got here. And yeah, just gonna be a moment here. All right. Let's get back here. Let me take a quick peek. All right, I'm gonna start. I think I'm gonna get right to the screen share. We've been going for about 18 minutes. Oh, there's Nathan Oakley. And definitely, if you're not already, definitely subscribe to Nathan Oakley's channel. And yeah, definitely, he gets the spanner, not a wrench. Being in the UK, of course, you're not getting a wrench, you're getting a spanner. And spanner's 33, by the way. Just a coincidence, I'm sure. But definitely, Nathan, fantastic to see you here. And obviously, like I said earlier, definitely subscribe to this channel. Dissecting, flat Earth, the flat Earth truth, at every angle. And it's definitely important to keep flat Earth alive, keep the topic alive. And that's basically nobody does that better by, with his daily shows. And, definitely support him if you can as well. He deserves it. It's a lot of time and effort he's putting into this. And obviously that's showing a lot of passion for the flat Earth truth. And yeah, so I can't say it enough. There's some people I don't obviously agree with on his panel, but that's the thing is it's basically somewhat of an open panel. There's obviously people on the globe side of things. And here's the thing is you talk to globers, it's almost like brainstorming where you're going to find new discoveries, find new things while talking to people on the opposing side. So I think it's very healthy to keep that open. And obviously discussions can be a little bit heated as long as it doesn't go too far. And Nathan, I see your comment, and let me go on this side here, this side of things, and definitely Nathan, it's definitely appropriate. It's definitely necessary. Again, who's doing it daily? Who's doing it like you are? It just it says a lot. And you're like me in a lot of ways, very passionate. You don't muck around with people. You speak your mind, and I can appreciate that, of course, tremendously. That's really what I'm all about. Is what I think, is what I say. And great to see Erica Harden in there. And let me add you here, Erica. Thanks so very much. And let's see who else we got here. All right. Yeah, absolutely. Great thing to do that. NASA Lives. Great to see that. And let's see what we got in here. Great to see you in there. Again, Dale. Now, I definitely want to stick on the topic with Nathan's channel, though, because in my estimation, and again, here's Erica Harden. In my estimation, just like I've really promoted Flat Earth Banjo, Flatzoid, these channels, the ones that really deserve it, that have been consistent. That's what I'm looking for. The people that have been around, 1, 2, 3 years, that's fine. But the people that, have their, feet dug in the trenches and consistent, that's important. People can show up and put out some decent information, but I want to see how they are long term. And that's crucial to me, is seeing someone in the long haul. And I don't want to bring this up. It's like a job, or like the police department. You don't go from a cop on the streets walking the beat to the chief of police overnight. It takes a tremendous amount of time. You got to work your way up. So that's basically how I see it with the top flat earthers when it comes to flat earth truth. And definitely, I'm going to in the future make a video, or maybe I'll be on a live stream sometime, about the top flat earthers and the bottom of the barrel list as well. you know, to separate the sheep from the goats, so to say. And let's see what we got here. But like I said, getting back to Nathan, I appreciate. I really appreciate our conversation we had on Skype. We had a really good discussion. It's unfortunate, really unfortunate, that wasn't recorded, because it was a really, it could have made a fantastic stream if we recorded that. And that's what happens usually. The stuff that's not recorded is the best stuff. And you go live. It's like this. This happened to me so many times, where I'm having a really good conversation with an individual on Skype, or before we go live, say on YouTube. Then when I hit the live button, all the best stuff was already, the cream of the crop, so to speak, was spoken, offline. So that's why sometimes I just like to go live and save it for the show, because some things might be forgotten. So not to go on too long about that, but again, and closing off with Nathan here, definitely, all you need to do, as you see his name on the pin there on the screen, Nathan Oakley 1980, and he also has his just Nathan Oakley channel as well. Definitely subscribe to both. And here's the thing is too, Nathan and I will speak. We might not agree on stuff. That's fine, because we're passionate about truth. So I might say something. Nathan might say, "Hey, RV, this, but it's for the betterment. There's no hard feelings. He wants to make sure things are done properly. He's dedicated to himself to this much. I believe he has the right to, for someone that's been around for so long, and someone that's so dedicated to this. So I don't take it the wrong way, at all. If he does that, certain people, in my estimation, certain people can do that. It's just the people that really don't know what they're talking about, such as Dell, Beyond the Imaginary Curve, talking about, Earth moving up, which is an absolute joke. He's like dropping water bottles to prove, Earth is accelerating up. It's an absolute joke. And even it's been a huge debacle on his channel with even his own followers in the chat. They've been, they've been going at it because it's such a ridiculous thing. Like I said, this is recycled from the Flat Earth Society. It's absolute nonsense. It's absolute garbage. So yeah, I mean, the first thing I would tell to Dell, if I spoke to him, he's trying to give his reasons behind Earth accelerating up. The first thing I'll ask him is, if that's the fact, why don't we ever hit the sun and the moon? If it's a local sun and the moon, why don't we ever reach it? He's going to make up some bogus excuse. Oh, the sun and the moon are accelerating at the same speed. Yeah, it's just garbage, 100% garbage. And what I believe is, they cast the net in the beginning. They give you some decent information in the beginning, and then they lead you astray once they have you in your back pocket, once they have you in their nets. And we got to be careful about that stuff. We got to hold everybody to task, with everybody in truth. Everybody needs to be held to task to make sure they're consistent and not pushing garbage. Yeah, you just said it there, Nathan. I just saw your comment, and because I haven't watched Dell for a long time, that's also rhetoric of the Flat Earth Society. Absolutely. And I pointed that out, actually, Nathan, as well, with the whole accelerating up of the Flat Earth. That's just classic nonsense, and it's not, obviously happening. It's just an absolute joke. It's beyond embarrassing, and all you're doing is scaring people away. We're talking about science and pseudoscience and things that are provable, and that's definitely pseudoscience. There's no proof of that happening, obviously. And I see another comment here by Nathan Oakley. So Dell, Globebusters, Flat Earth Society, and they'll all have 4 space gravity claim. Yeah, they're just basically making up stuff. And as you know, Nathan, it's recycled, like you just stated there, by Flat Earth Society. So they're hoping their followers are ignorant to these things. They're not well researched, and they hope they can slip it in without them noticing it. That's where people like you and I come in, and we put that information out there. We put that information out there. So it's so very important. We stick with things that are provable. That's really important. All right, I see some more comments here. I know what you mean. No, I know you double posted, Dell. I know you meant to put someone else. I do that. I know what you mean when you said I said, yeah, no worries on that. Yeah, I saw I know you meant to put someone else down there, Nathan. Yeah, no worries, brother. Yeah, I know what you meant. You know how many times I sent messages and they're like mangled, or there's typos, and I've done that so many times. So no worries. I figured you meant somebody else when you put Dell twice there. No worries. All right. And thanks again, Nathan. Probably we'll be discussing more stuff later on regarding, and this is important, Nathan. I'm going to get back, actually. I'm going to pause on the topic with Nathan. It's so important. It's so very important we stick to things that are tangible, things that are provable. Once we get in the aspect of abstract and pseudoscience, things we can't prove, now we're setting ourselves up for a pie in the face, mud in the face, a huge pitfall. We're setting ourselves up for disaster when we do that. So we have to work from foundational things, provable things that are work our way up. These, other lands behind the ice wall, things that are in no way provable, but people like to do that. No names, David Weiss, Wimpy Weiss, Ladder Boy Weiss, whatever you want to call him, likes to push the idea of these other lands, beyond the ice wall. And there's no foundational evidence of anything, just besides someone like Admiral Richard Byrd. And how do you become an admiral, in the Navy, unless you're a high-ranking Mason? So it doesn't mean Richard Byrd won't say some things that are truth. But yeah, it's just, again, the classic mixing of truth and lies. But yeah, we got to be so very careful of people that are pushing things that are not provable. Stick to what we we can measure things that we can see, things that are tangible, and not talk about, aliens from on the other side of the pond. There's all these ponds, and they're coming from. There's no basis, no foundation of this at all. No type of evidence. But I said it before. These type of so-called truthers, they're not truthers, in my estimation. They know the fantasies better than the reality. It's a way to pull people into something fascinating, something so-called interesting, and people love that. People love the fantasy. Hey Nathan, I know all about it. And I knew that's going to happen because you know why? Because I actually messaged you on Skype about this. And I'll put it out there now that everything's out there. I said, look, those guys are going to stick together always. They're always going to have each other's back. And actually, that one time when you were going at it with Jaron, and Jaron made some type of joke about your daily shows, your daily streams, and Weiss made some type of snide comment about people watching it, and like just some kind of don't remember verbatim what he said, but just like not very pleasant. And I knew it was a slap. It was a slap, subtle, but definitely, passive aggressive, but it was definitely there. Yeah, yeah, and I heard that, Nathan, actually, about the whole Jaron the scammer thing. I've heard that, all go down, and yeah, I'm pretty much aware of all that. Yeah, and that's the unfortunate thing. But I just looked at it like it was a matter of time before that happened. It's just when people are not on the up and up, in my estimation, and definitely, it's a clique over there. They're going to stick together, and defend each other. Obviously, right or wrong, they're always going to stand up for each other, and they think they have the motto of strength in numbers. You know, like, and that's how they kind of work. Having each other's back. They're like a bunch of bullies, or schoolyard bullies, like a pack of rats. One rat can't do much. If you get a pack of rats, they can do a little bit of damage. So that's kind of like their philosophy. Yeah, so that's the unfortunate thing again, Nathan. But like I said, I saw that coming. I saw that coming, and yeah, definitely, I want to say hi to some others in the chat as well. Thanks again, Nathan, for all your work once again. I'm sure we'll chat up a little bit later on about something here, but I want to say hi to a few people I see in the chat also, just like Nathan Oakley in the UK. Paul, was it Santini in the UK? Great to see you in there. Thanks for staying up late. I know it's pretty late. There was maybe just after one or two in the morning in the UK. I appreciate you guys staying up. Also, I saw someone that's been requesting a live stream for a while, and Charlie Girl. And thanks so much, Charlie Girl. Someone very passionate for truth as well. And I appreciate that so very much, and being a great supporter of the channel. And I saw your hand up, so definitely what the hand up means, I have to obviously give you that attention. And let's see here. And another one here, Johnny Blaze, another fantastic dude, another great supporter. What's up with all the blue light been up all the cities? Yeah, the blue light is, we know what the blue pill is. That's for the sleeping masses. It's like on those very famous buildings, the 88 lights, and they're in blue. So that's for the sleeping masses to see. Definitely. Yeah. Oh boy. 2:53 a.m. Oh, you're very dedicated, and if I recall correctly, in Spain. In Spain. So great to see you in there. Yeah, Nathan's. You get good. He does it like Paul. We know this. He's at this all the time, refining his flat earth knowledge and skills. Obviously knows the ins and outs of it, and yeah, just there's no debating that. Absolutely, and definitely, yeah. And I see Nathan Oakley as well, given, let's see here. Yeah, consistent panel too. And I'll just say this as well, Nathan, since I see it back in there, is you have a consistent crew there. It's a grind, but you guys are constantly at it, and that's dedication. Even guys, I'm not gonna say any name, even if guys that kind of rub me the wrong way, um, they're helping the flat earth truth. And actually, even though I'm not me and Arwen, we're not on the same page as far as being best pals or anything. I appreciate what I saw Arwen standing up to Dell in the chat. But I take a peek at what's happening, of course. As the They Live Truth Police, I have to. So I have to see what's going on in the full spectrum, of course. I can't police things if I'm not patrolling. So I appreciate Arwen, even though, we don't get along, obviously, but I appreciate him at least standing up to Dell. Even some of his own quote supporters were giving Dell a hard time about the Earth supposedly accelerating up. What a complete joke. So Dell thinks he's lying on his couch watching Star Wars or his favorite Metallica music video on MTV. And he really believes as he's lying in bed, he's accelerating up. What a complete joke. What a buffoon. What a nightmare that guy is. That guy, garbage. That's the only thing I have to say about Dell. Garbage. 100%. What a joke. Yeah, I know. I know. I know all about that, Nathan, about Arwen. Yeah, he's not really, like I said, he's something about Arwen and, these little snide comments. That's okay, though. That's okay. Yeah, it is definitely shilly. And I've seen this. We know this. Like I said, in the beginning, I'm just going to be blunt. When Dell first came out, he was doing a street activism, very, very well spoken, very articulate, breaking down the nonsense of the globe, so polite, so well spoken. And then you see him in the shed and you see the shed rage and him, going absolute berserk. I think he's claustrophobic. I don't know what his issue is, but it's just, yeah, it's what I'm getting at is, is again pulling people into the net with good information, solid information, and then once you have them in your grasp, then you feed them nonsense, and that's what it comes down to. All right, let me take care of this here 1 second. No, Arwen, I see Arwen is actually a follower of the channel. So yeah, he's a subscriber to the channel, which is okay. Let's see what we got here. Oh, Arwen's here? I don't even know. I don't even know he's here. Okay, maybe I missed that. Well, whatever the case is, there's a lot of people here, so I might have missed that. But I'm sure he'll hear the message. And good to see him there, Tragic Flat Earth. Let's see. And great to see him there, Jenny C as well. And thanks so much for that again, Jenny C. Great to see you in that. Absolutely. Jerkinism. That's the name. I have many names for these people. So, first was Junkyard Jaren and Wimpy Weiss. No, actually it was Junkyard Jaren and Dumpster Dave. Now it's Ladder Dave. It's Wimpy Weiss. And yeah, Jerkinism. So, there'll be more added to the list, I'm sure, as we move forward. Let's see what else we got here. Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. That's the thing is, Nathan as antagonist is just two people can always obviously not only see eye to eye, two people can obviously just rub each other the wrong way and just for whatever reason, two people really just, just don't like each other for whatever reason, I mean, it's just, and I've seen that where I might just meet someone, like for example, years ago, I start a new job and I meet people and like right off the bat, I see someone, I just don't like the way they look, and I just end up not liking them for whatever reason. It's just weird, But yeah, it's just sometimes there's just two people that will never get along, no matter how hard they try to get along. Well, maybe you should not be here and go to Dell's channel, because obviously you're one of Dell's goons. Probably it's probably Dell himself. No, it's probably one of Dell's former mods or one of his people under a different screen name, a sock account, defending Dell, of course, because Dell is Dell. See, Dell's pretty clever actually. He uses intimidation, the intimidation factor, to make sure everybody stays in line in the chat for the most part. And anybody that goes against what Dell says, they're going to get the heave ho. And the funniest thing I saw, Dell used to take calls from people, was I know a lot of people when they call in to talk to Dell, they're very intimidated because Dell, if you say one thing that Dell doesn't like, he'll just give it to you. So one guy called, and I could tell he's pretty nervous. And basically, the guy, all he did was the whole entire 10, 15 minutes talking to Dell was basically repeat everything Dell has ever said, like to a T, to make sure him and Dell don't have any issues. And see, that's the problem. There's no free thought over there. You can't have your own view on things over there. If you say Earth doesn't move, Dell's going to blow a fuse. So yeah, this is definitely one of Dell's cronies, one of his people over there coming over here, infiltrating, obviously. But that's okay. That's okay. No, not a problem. Yeah, absolutely. Here's the thing is too, I'll just read it out here. Nathan's just saying here for anybody that watched later. I called Dell. Took about 5 minutes before I was banned and blocked by that guy, Dell, the gatekeeper. Yeah, Derek, Dell, whatever you want to call him. Definitely, it's his way or the highway. And that's not, the way he operates. Obviously, it's very fascist. It's one way. It's one way, or and that's it. There's no alternatives to, basically he's the thought police. I'm the, when people go off the rails and give false information, I'll definitely speak out. But you can't even, brainstorm with the guy and just throw out ideas based on something solid. He won't even accept that. It's just the way he sees things, and that's it. Yeah, it's very shilly, like you said there, Nathan. pretty much there, Johnny Blaze. That answers that very well. Yeah, people say that, Ramina. I saw that. For some reason, I don't really have a problem understanding him. I'm pretty good at, the accents don't really bother me, even though it's rather thick. And even in the UK, people in the UK, depending where you're located, of course, some accents are thicker than others. Liverpool, Manchester, all, a little bit different. Just like here in the US, people in California, they speak a little bit different than people in Chicago, New York, in the South, of course. So that extends obviously to the UK. It's interesting how that works. It's interesting, actually, people coming, from the UK to the United States and how they lost their accent. What I find very interesting, since my youth is, bands like Def Leppard, I was very, very young when I first saw them on MTV. I thought they were American. I thought they were from the US. Then I hear them in the interview on MTV. They have a British accent. I'm like, what's going on here? Why are they singing in American English? It's kind of funny how that works. They lose their accent when they sing. I always found that pretty interesting. That's funny. Yeah, it is. Yeah. Well, here's the thing: is I'm not going to say any names, but I'm glad you brought this up, Nathan, because I have it from a very good authority, someone in the UK, and basically what it comes down to is this Dell character is not even Scottish, really. He's from Germany, and part of the small hat crew. So basically, through high school, Dell had issues with people in high school because they knew he wasn't really Scottish. So basically, he had a horrible childhood through high school, and yeah, he became pretty aggressive with people, physically as well, and he had a lot of issues. So that's through a very reliable source that that knows of the situation very well. So yeah, Dell, he's admitted to having a lot of mental issues, mental health issues, psychological problems, depression. It makes sense. That's why he's so very miserable still. You can see he's a very miserable individual. The way he deals with people, not the nicest guy in the world. But we're going to move on here to the live stream. I've been going on for 45 minutes. I haven't got to the information yet, but I'm having so much fun talking to Nathan and everybody else here in the chat, and I haven't even got started with that yet. But we'll get there. We'll definitely get there. Yeah, Slash. I actually know Slash. I don't know him personally, but I know of his background, and he's a mixed race individual. And was he something? Was his mom? His mom was famous, right? Was that? It's been a while since I seen the documentary, but I believe his mom or was his dad was in the music industry, something along those lines. But I know he's uh he's black and white. He's black and white. I know that. Yeah, I said that before though, Nathan. Basically, Dell's a walking billboard for the Illuminati or the Masons. He's definitely a walking billboard, and he tries to make excuses. If you're gonna have those that many tattoos, the 666, the 33, the owl, the pine cone, the silver and gold keys, you're really dedicated to that stuff. You're really, I mean, really deep in that stuff. You're not gonna do all that just by a random person just from the outside says, "Oh, I see these symbols. They're interesting. I'm going to plop them all on my body." Obviously, he's really deep into that stuff, and he's very proud of that. He says, "Oh, it's a mistake, and I have I was younger, all that stuff." What a bunch of nonsense. And I see the hat there. Talking about Slash there, yeah. All right. and Charlie the Girl's talking about Slash. I have an autograph I saw, and he saw me and I waved, flirty. I was 21. Oh, okay, yeah. Yeah, we know. Yeah, the story is just nonsense. It's like those types with the Prophecy Club or the quote former like Satanist who claim, oh, they're reformed and now they're believers. Of course, they're going to say that. They're still working for the other side, and that's basically what Dell is doing as well. Yeah, the Yellow Submarine. Yeah, that's definitely something I've covered before. Definitely covered before. Yeah, and definitely, yeah, these people are obviously, like I said, on the payroll. Well, usually it is. There's some actually. I have a good amount of Scottish supporters, and most of them are very kind, polite. But see, like I said, Dell is not actually Scottish. He's German. I'll just say German small hat German, however you want to put it. So he's not really Scottish. So that's basically, um, you know, his background. He stated himself. Yes, getting over the November rain, absolutely with the Guns N' Roses. All right, we've been going on for a while now. I really got to get to the StreamYard share side of things. Let me do that. And let's see who we got here. We got here first. All right, let me get straight to it. And thanks again, Nathan. Great to see you here, brother. And everybody else, obviously, Ramina, Charlie Girl. I don't want to miss anybody, but I appreciate you all tuning in. Definitely a ton to screen share. And let me check something. Actually, before, oh, I see, I do see Arwen in there. Unbelievable. Let me see here. Where is he? Your excuse. What did you do, Arwen? Jeez. All right. Anyways, Arwen, good to see you in here. A great supporter of the channel, a subscriber, and a real big advocate of my channel. And I appreciate that, Arwen, so very much. So very much. But in all seriousness, I appreciate you giving Dell a hard time about the nonsense of Earth accelerating up. That's one thing we can agree on, and I appreciate that. Yeah, so moving forward here, let me just check something here real quick on the YouTube side before doing that. And I apologize, everyone. Just got to take a quick peek. Oh, and I apologize, Nathan. I missed that. That super and British pounds there. Smash the super chat to support what you love. Thanks so much for that, Nathan. All the back and forth, and I missed them. That's what I did before actually, before going to the StreamYard side of things as far as the photo stage sharing. Let me see if I can scroll up and find that. But I appreciate that so very much, Nathan. Let me see if I can find that if it's still available. Because the way it works on StreamYard is after a while it sails off. It's no longer pinnable. But I want to see if it's still there. Let me scroll up here. I apologize for that, and I appreciate that. And I'm glad I scrolled up because I missed it, because there's so many there's tons of people here, tons of comments, so I didn't see that. But and there we go. I found it. Thanks so much once again for that. I'm glad I double checked, because definitely people that are generous enough, kind to do that, I appreciate that so very much. And also, I'm glad I saw this too. Refracted Shark, also there in Europe. I appreciate that. God bless, brother. And I'm glad I double checked here. And I'm going to scroll up some more because, people are kind enough to send a super chat. It shouldn't go unnoticed and unappreciated. And I felt bad actually. Sometimes there's so many people in the chat that I actually miss them, and I feel very, very bad after the fact, because I can see that. And once again, thanks so much, Gerald Dessa, for that as well. All right, let's get to it as far as the photo stage aspect. Let me, and again, thanks so much, everybody, for the super chats and the support. A million thank yous for that. So, again, I said this many times. Let me see what. Yeah, thanks again there, Nathan. Before going to the photo stage, let me just see here. Sorry about that. I'm just getting the side of photo stage set up here. It'll only be momentarily before I get there. All right. So thanks again. I'm going to remove that, Nathan. I apologize. I got to show the photo stage side of things. Definitely a lot to cover, and the latest happenings. And let me see here. Let me go to present. All right, let's go to the. All right, here's the window here. All right, so the latest news here. Let me make sure that's presenting properly before I move forward. All right, let me go to full screen. Let me get rid of the side box there and just go. So here's the latest happenings. We're going to definitely be covering a lot. Let's see what we got here. So this Sunday, in 2 days, I will be speaking, as you see here, with the Flat Earth Banjo, Eddie. It will be 5 p.m. Pacific time and 8 p.m. Eastern, and I believe that works out 8. What's that? 1, 2 was that 2 in the morning? If I get my math right, 1 or 2 in the morning there in the UK, and I believe it's very early in the morning. I'm not even sure what time it is for Eddie. I believe it's 10 a.m., 10 or 11 a.m. It's not that early, actually. 10 or 11 a.m. Japan time for Eddie, and definitely going to be discussing a lot on his channel. So you got to just basically go into the YouTube search and just type in Flat Earth Banjo, and you'll find his channel right away if you're not already subscribed, and I'll be on there again this Sunday, and we'll have definitely a lot to talk about. And I always appreciate my brother from originally, obviously Brazil, now living in Japan. We're going to have a lengthy conversation, I'm sure, about flat earth topics. People that, how can I say, I'll just maybe give a little sneak peek. People are professing to be Christians, pastors, and denying the biblical flat earth. So again, appreciate you, brother Eddie. I'm sure you'll be listening into this later. It's very early in the morning now in Japan, but I appreciate you so very much, brother. Great doing the prior live stream, and looking forward to our future one. And that gets into our next one. And thanks so much for that. Actually, I'm going to put that up there. I usually don't look at the chat while I'm on the photo stage side of things, but definitely putting that up there. And thanks so much for that, Nathan Oakley. All right, Nathan, you going to take off now? I know it's very, very early in the morning there in the UK, so I appreciate that, brother. Absolutely, brother. And obviously, you're always welcome to jump aboard my channel anytime you want. Definitely in the future, whenever, just let me know on Skype, and you're here, man, and we'll definitely do a show for sure. Yeah, or the guy in the blue shirt. You can learn a lot from him, actually. All right, let's see here. Yeah, nice. And I see that yeah, I get it. You got the kids as well to take care of, and it's early. I don't blame you, but definitely appreciate that once again. All right. Yep, and you said there banjo is ace. All right, let's get back here, and thanks so much once again for that. All right, let's get back to the stream, not the stream yard, but the photo stage. So that gets into another individual that I've done a stream with prior, and I'm a huge fan of his work. This South African, as you can see his name, Flatzoid Perspective. Definitely go to his channel, subscribe to him if you haven't already. Very funny guy, very smart guy. We hit it off immediately, talking flat earth. And in the future, we have an endeavor potentially, not potentially, that's going to happen starting in the new year. We're going to be streaming together, potentially once a week, maybe once every 2 weeks. We'll see how it goes, but definitely the latest happenings. Flatzoid and I, we're going to be teaming up, and he loves to go live, and I love to go live too. So we'll see how that goes, but definitely Flatzoid, just very original guy. Like I said, from South Africa, very witty, very funny. And I said it before, he knows the lies of, quote, mainstream science so very well. And he knows how to play that game that they play. Because, again, I said it before, where people in mainstream science, they have the art down of making it very complicated and making it unprovable. Those are the two main ingredients for mainstream science. So things that you cannot prove, the distance of the sun, what the sun is made out of, they like proclaim it as fact when there's no way to verify that, obviously. But it keeps us spinning in circles. So we have to remove ourselves from that nonsense. And no matter what you tell people on the globe side, they'll profess they are facts not to be disputed, blah, blah, blah. But we know it's nothing but garbage, basically. And I appreciate that. I'm looking back over here on the, which I don't do too much, like I said. I'm looking over here on the StreamYard side of things while I do this. And I'll try to maybe do that a little bit more often, actually, while I'm presenting. There's a Flatzoid Perspectives YouTube channel. And definitely, if you're not already subscribed, definitely subscribe to his channel. Just like I said with Nathan Oakley. That's true, Arwen. That's very true. Just like I mentioned on Flatzoid's channel about the video game industry and transhumanization that they're pushing, not only in the mainstream, not only in movies, but definitely in the video game industry as well. and I made the mention, Arwen, of Altered Beast. And I saw your comment after the fact, and you go, "Oh, come on, RV, that's not the only one." I know that, Arwen, but I'm just giving you an example. One example, I can give you a million. It's everywhere, of course. But you put in the comments like, "Oh, there's other games," but this is one of the early games, very early games from the '80s. And trust me when I tell you, I know the video game industry very, very well. You know, from playing Pong in the late '70s, having an Atari, having a television, ColecoVision, Commodore 64, Amiga computer, Super Nintendo, TurboGrafx, you name it, Atari Lynx. I know about video games very well. I'm going to definitely do videos in the future about video games. And actually, I've already done videos on video games years ago. So, no worries. All good, Arwen. I'm just giving you a hard time, but it's well deserved. Yeah, Sega Genesis, like I said, that day, Sega Genesis, basically Sega is ages in reverse, and Genesis is the beginning. So basically, Sega Genesis means ages of the beginning. And just like the concept of they live is they evil. It's like a play on words with John Carpenter. They live, but it goes back further. That's something I'll cover in the future. Actually, Nathan and I went back and forth about this on Skype. I'll get into it later, but definitely They Live was not conceived by John Carpenter. We'll get into that later, definitely. Yeah, Erwin, I don't know how old you are, but yeah, I loved a lot of these Commodore games. Rambo, Cosmic Tunnels, Castle Wolfenstein, Bubble Bobble. What else is there? There's just so many. There's so many great games. The Ghost and Goblin series, Commando, Beachhead. I can keep going on and on. There's so many. Dr. J versus Larry Bird. I know I'm missing some big ones, but there's a lot of them out there. A lot of great games for Commodore 64. Yi Kung Fu. I can keep going on. Yes, the Boulder Dash series was fantastic. Quicks is a really good game. Quicks is a lot of fun. Sticks, basically a clone of Quicks. I'm trying to think of some other ones that I really enjoyed. I really like Space Taxi was a lot of fun. Space Taxi was great. I really enjoyed that game. I don't stick on video games too long, but yeah, Summer Games was another one. Summer Games, Winter Games, Hess Games, BC Quest for Tires. There's a lot of games. Yeah, they're a lot of fun. Yeah, G.I. Joe, I remember playing it. The start was so long. Yeah, I remember the start of G.I. Joe, the game would take forever. And you would see the G.I. Joe guys passing the screen while it's loading. Yeah, and who dare wins. Yeah, there's a lot of games, a lot of great games. Yeah, great to see you in there, David Godwin. Good to see you in there. And yeah, Half-Life was a huge one way back when. Yeah, ColecoVision. I used to play Rock and Rope on ColecoVision. Great to see you in there, Jay Worms. Awesome supporter of the channel. Appreciate you, brother. Yeah, Tetris was another fun one. Oh, Zach McCracken. Yeah, that's another one. Wasteland was another very popular one as well. Mobus, and a lot of these text-based games. A lot of these like Infocom games were really popular way back when. All good, David. Great to see you in there, brother. Thank you so much for tuning in. Pitfall, yeah, you said there. That's another one. I like Pitfall 2. Pitfall 2 is a lot of fun. Oregon Trail. Oh, Oregon Trail. 2000. You die suddenly. Okay. Yeah, Cybernoid. That's another one. That's another favorite, very famous one. Oh yes, Chris has it right there. Loading was load star comma 8 colon 1. If you want to find the directory, you put the dollar sign and just comma 8, and you go to list. Bronx Adventure. That's another one there. Yeah. All right. See, this is what happens when I don't just look at the photo stage. I start looking at people in the chat and I start reading off what people are saying. Yeah, definitely. And I'll admit this. Yeah, this is funny. I actually own a Commodore 64 still, and I have all these games, and I played Castle Wolfenstein for a little bit last night. Yeah, it's fun. It's fun. It's like I think one of the first talking games. There's a few like pinball with Gorgar that was a talking game, but there's others. Yeah, Moon Patrol's another one I like. Yeah, that's another one there. Flat Earth Warriors. All right, I better stop here because I'll talk about video games for the next 30 hours, or I don't want to say 33 hours, but 30 hours or so. Yeah, and television. I used to play what was that? The Night Stalker game was a lot of fun. That was a real fun game. All right. Let's get back here because I'm going to be talking about video games, like I said, forever. All right, let's get back here. So again, in the future, we're going to have, as you see on the screen here, yeah, Flat Zoid's perspective, as Romina shows here, and I thanks so much for that, hon. I appreciate that. Like I said, smart guy, witty guy, and he has definitely his own perspective on things, and really sharp guy. You know, really smart. So I appreciate that. And let's get back here. All right. So again, tomorrow, not tomorrow, but Sunday, with the Flat Earth Banjo, and in the future, coming in the new year, Flat Zoid's perspective. In that, I don't know what day of the week is it going to be, every Friday or Saturday. I'm not sure. We have to work that out. We'll get there though, I'm sure. All right. So now getting into the topics at hand. And here's the thing is, everybody, I've been talking for over an hour and just getting into the screen share. So more than likely, I'm going to post just a StreamYard share aspect, the photo stage share aspect moving forward in a separate video, since I've been going on for so long. And some people, half the people are here for information, half are here to chat. So trying to make everybody happy, you know. Absolutely. Charlie Girl, RV, he is a kind as you, I find. Yes, thank you. And I appreciate that. And I'm sure Flat Zoid does as well. And thanks so much, Ramina, once again. Yeah, Mike Tyson. I beat Mike Tyson too on NES. Oh, 80s were the best. Absolutely. 80s were, well, I don't want to say this, but, you know, the thought of a time machine going back to the 80s would be fantastic. I really love the 80s. Really, really, really fun time. All right, let's get back. Let's get back. Let's get to the information because I'm just yapping here about a lot of stuff. I'm going in all these different directions. I really got to focus on what is presented. All right, thanks so much. Love there, Romina. The heart back at you. All right, let's get to it. So the latest happenings here on this flat Earth that we live on. Most recently, with Katy Perry, as I'm sure many know. If you don't know, the whole eye glitch that she supposedly had, some kind of trick. She was um, during this performance with the one eye closed. Obviously, it's all symbolic, but on the Instagram, her official one, obviously, it says welcoming all my flat earthers, and space is fakers. So definitely putting that out there. They want this topic, obviously, to be a focal point of discussion. Obviously, if it's in the mainstream media and they're putting it out there, they want this divide and conquer. It's the truth. The flat earth is the truth, but they definitely like to put it out there. But see, people will just hit upon this, but I already covered this with Katy Perry long, long ago. way back when on MTV, back in holding a astronaut. This is from 2011. I covered this long, long ago. So the symbolism, and definitely with major events. Let me make sure this is showing there. Yeah, it's showing good there. So when it comes to these major events, MTV Music Awards or Grammys or whatever, they're really going to spotlight things for, all eyes are on the television, and they're definitely going to, spotlight certain things. And what you see here, and people, the normies are not going to see it. And again, getting back to symbolism, the importance of the cube on the head, basically, what it comes down to, besides holding up the astronaut, the cube on the head, biblically, the cube represents in the Bible heaven. Heaven is basically the dimensions are as of a cube, a glass cube, and you see it there. So that's what that represents. But you got to look at the dress. That's basically broken glass or shards of glass, basically like an astronaut breaking through the firmament in the shards of glass to reach heaven. So make no mistake about it. That dress is definitely shards of glass. And again, the cube, everybody's looking at the cube. They're not picking up on the dress itself. And of course, as above, so below, the hand above, the hand down, and so forth. But definitely, again, the spotlighting, things in plain sight with symbolism. It's just like with the politics aspect with Hillary Clinton during the campaigning. She's mentioning breaking through the glass ceiling when they know there's millions upon millions of people listening in, and they have no idea. They know, of course. Oh, supposedly it means women achieving something, breaking the glass ceiling. But again, the duality aspect, that's for the normies. But there's the other side of things, the esoteric aspect as well, of course, the hidden meaning. So that's the big thing. This is the land of confusion. You know, one thing can mean, there could be multiple meanings for one thing. So definitely, that's what it comes down to. But let's move along here. Let's see what we got here moving forward. So again, the broken glass symbolism, and then you move on, and you have Katy Perry with the all-seeing eye, of course, Polaris or Lucy or Lucifer, the eye in the sky. And obviously nothing but a puppet. But getting back to this image here, definitely mocking. This is not, yeah, people might say, oh, it's a good thing she's bringing it up, but definitely, in a mocking way, of course. But obviously just a puppet, a mindless puppet, just wants to be famous, and that's what it comes down to. And you want to be famous, you're going to have to do a lot to be famous. And that's basically sell out and do whatever you're told. And that gets back to, again, the whole astronaut and MTV. I showed this before. I'm going to break it down a little bit more. This is in Toronto, Canada. This Masonic temple where MTV Studios used to be located, again, in Toronto, Canada. In the inside of the building itself, you see the obviously the bricks in the back, the square and the compass, and they make sure. They make sure it's right dead center for all to see. And again, speaking through symbolism, who's owning MTV? Masonic TV, of course. And of course, the astronaut symbol. Oh, what happened here? What happened here? Let me take that off. What's going on with this one? Oh yeah, I know. This is obviously the launch of MTV back in 1981. And let me go full screen with this. And this is the launch here. Let me see what's going on here. This is a launch, of course, with the rocket back in 1981, and the astronaut. The programming is there. It's so obvious. Again, with the astronaut, with the MTV patch. It's obviously this is not an organic thing with MTV happening. It's meant to happen because it's all about, music, of course, the lyrics, the words. But now they're showing symbolism, which we'll get into more with MTV. But what I want to show is, you know, they're flashing all the symbolism here on the MTV flag. And there's the one in which I'll get into, of course. And let me see, where is it? Did I pass it already? And there it is there, the bricks of Freemasonry on Masonic TV. And obviously, yeah, we all seen this if you grew up in the 80s. And of course, the flag itself with the actually, that wasn't supposed to happen. It's supposed to happen here. And you have the flag supposedly, you know, obviously the subconscious programming, not even subconscious, the conscious programming in plain sight with MTV. So it all gets back to again Katy Perry here again with the you can't see it, but she's holding up the astronaut, and yeah, they're not going to have someone up, you know, obviously somebody up here organically that they don't have control over. They got to make sure they have all their puppets in place, and this is just the obvious. It's going to mean something later on. This is definitely going to lead to more things, but again, the baller programming, the Thompson twins. I mean, how many ballers do you need to give me a break? Annie Lennox with Eurythmics, the rock in the back with Sweet Dreams, and you know, spinning the globe. Yeah, it's like I said, it's programming. You know, they definitely had the songs out for the longest times. You know, people listening to the music, but they really want to emphasize on the visual aspect, and that's where it really sits in to people. You know, and this is kind of funny with MTV, the duality aspect. You know, with Kate Bush, you know, and the dunce cap, and of course, the globe itself. You got to be a dummy if you believe we live on a ball, you know, and of course the ballerina's outfit. So again, the duality so important to understand when it comes to like Mickey Mouse. Mickey is either Mickey Mouse or Wicked, as you see in the reflection. So this is obviously what they see. The masses see Mickey, and obviously the people that come up with the concept of duality see the wicked. So this is a prime example. This is done obviously on purpose. So this is why I really emphasize to people, you don't have to like it, but learn their language and you're going to understand them so much more. You're going to really grasp what is happening, and you're going to see another world, not just the world that's presented. You're definitely going to see the aspect that they see this world as, in the duality world that's hidden from the 99.9%. And definitely this is pretty clever with the spelling and everything. And I don't want to give them credit, but you know, they are pretty clever in what they do. And that's why that's why they have the world deceived, obviously. You know, obviously. And I'm really going to hammer the point of 33, you know, like I always do. And, you know, this goes way back with this one story from 1972 with Vesna and this flight attendant that supposedly, you know, fell 33,000 feet. I mean, and survived. And one thing actually I forgot to include, there's a photo of her with Paul McCartney, you know, and basically two fakes, two phonies together. But again, this is setting something up, the importance of the 33. We know all about, you know, of course, Albert Pike, the most famous Freemason in U.S. history. You know, Southern General, you know, has a mausoleum in Washington, you know, very powerful Freemason. And you see the dual-headed eagle, which is very important. And let me do this here, actually. So you have the dual-headed eagle here. You have it here. And the Masonic pin here, obviously. Yeah, very, very esteemed within within Freemasonry. So a lot of these things that we see out there in this world that people don't see what's right in front of their faces. You know, they go, people, you know, millions of people have, you know, Bank of America accounts, and they see this logo. They think nothing of it. They don't think twice. Besides the obvious red and blue, which makes purple for royalty or witchcraft, you have the 11, 11, 11 for 33. These are all Masonic, obviously, owned and controlled companies. Just like you see here with the Triple K and the 33, basically started by this man here. So again, they're pretty clever in the way they operate. So that gets into, again, the whole topic of, which I want to show right now, which is on the uh, the actual thumbnail, is They Live Truth Police. And this is where I'm going to really break it down, where, as I see it, and it's painfully obvious to see, there's obviously a network, a syndicate of people working for the other side, pretending to be truthers, and they're just obviously leading people astray. All right, let's get to it here. People that I covered before, there'll be new characters here, but definitely I want to point this out with someone that constantly, you know, makes fun of the 33. It doesn't mean anything. It's just a number, blah, blah, blah. But for someone that decided to get married on 11, 11, 11, okay? Yeah, numbers don't mean anything, okay? 11, 11, 11, of course, that's your 33, just like I showed here, okay? For someone to say 33 means nothing with Jaron, and you see his this cake here, 11, 11, 11 on it. So definitely, how many people do you know during their wedding, their reception, have a date on their cake? So obviously these numbers are very important to Jaron, who claims numbers, they don't mean anything. The 33, it doesn't mean anything. It's meaningless. And he's obviously displaying it on the cake. It means obviously a lot to him. And I find it pretty funny because the surname Campanella is 33, and obviously, yeah, it's obvious in plain sight, with the 33. And that gets back to what initially started the issue with Jaron. Not only Jaron, but you're going to hear Whitsitt, Austin Whitsitt here as well. And this is what started all the trouble with my coverage of Greg Anderson 33 on Instagram. And we know what all went down with this individual here. And I was pointing out all the Masonic symbolism with the double-headed eagle of Freemasonry. And again, Greg Anderson 33, he's been on Fox News. He's been on, Joe Rogan, all these things, so it's not just some random bozo that they just plucked out. He's definitely a Mason. And let's take a listen to the dialogue between Jaron and Whitsitt here.
Yeah, so I mean, dude, I'm a huge fan of RV. I think he crushes. For me, I don't know, man. Like, it would just, I think tactically, I try to put myself in the Grabbler's shoes, and this would be missing the mark here on so many levels.
So that's Whitsitt, who I'm going to get into more. All right, and he's claiming the stuff I'm putting out there regarding the symbolism is like, it's like a long shot. It's basically, a stretch, absolute nonsense. Let's move this up here a little bit more. Just bear with me, everyone. Just hold tight.
Like, it would just, I think tactically, I try to put myself in the grab.
So again, basically stating this is, for the most part, claiming it's a stretch. This is obvious, clear as day, and they're gatekeeping. Both Jaron and Whitsitt are gatekeeping here, and definitely that gets into, like I said before, the failed experiment. This is on Newsweek. By the way, Newsweek is 33. So, this guy's being spotlighted on the mainstream media, and this obvious failed experiment for millions upon millions of people to see and laugh at. But Jaron doesn't care. He just cares about getting paid. That's what it's all about. He doesn't care about flat Earth. Flat Earth is just a job for him to make a buck. That's what it comes down to. So again, I said it before. Why didn't he do an experiment prior to the failed experiment to make sure everything went right? Obviously, it was planned to fail. Just like you see here with Wimpy Weiss. Oh, I'm too tired. I need to find a ladder because I'm tired. You know, who says I'm gonna I need to rest on a ladder because I'm tired? What an absolute joke that is. Anyways, I already mentioned this before about making the connections. Like I said, making all the connections, and definitely I'm making another one here. And anytime anybody looks up flat Earth on YouTube, this is the video that everybody sees with all the characters, all the shills of flat Earth. If you get the spotlight, you're the controlled op. They can't take a chance having real, legit people on there, and you don't know what they're going to say. So definitely, these people are controlled. There's no doubt about it. But what I want to get into is here. This aspect I'm going to play here. Now, again, I mentioned this before with Rick Hummer being 33. Now, this scene here with Rick Hummer and this gathering, this is the first Flat Earth conference. This is what is in front of the billboard, actually. You know, and he yells out here after 1, 2, 3, we're not crazy. And this is intended, you know, to rile up the normies and say, oh, yes, you are. Let's take a look at the characters involved here as well. 1, 2, 3, we're crazy. And there you see Skeebs, and there's Wimpy Weiss, and all the other characters. There might be a few people here that are here maybe organically. They're just basically useful idiots for this. But make no mistake about it, you know, they're leading the controlled op side of things. And actually, I'm going to move up a little bit more because part of this is these people not only, you know, trying to make a buck, they want to be famous. And who do you see here where they're spotlighting, you know, ODD TV, and they play a little bit of his music and they're promoting him. They're promoting him, obviously. And that gets into the obvious, which I've shown before as well. Okay, as I've shown before with the Masonic handshake. So what I'm showing is undeniable. There's absolutely no denying what I'm showing. And this guy was his name. I think his name is Jimmy Shields with the Masonic 33 and the dual-headed eagle. And I'll definitely want to point out the dual-headed eagle a little bit more later on. But that, of course, gets into Skeebs and these obvious connections I showed before with the 33 at 3:30 for his memorial, you know, and the 33 here with this project quote seed, and you see the obviously the 3 in the E 33, and you see the double cross in the middle. You all know what double cross was. You've been double crossed, and many people in Flat Earth have been double crossed by Skeebs. And interesting enough, you see that logo just like Rush Limbaugh's logo, as you see, basically identical. 33 in plain sight, and of course the sign of silence with Rush Limbaugh. And this is stuff I covered before, but it's setting the stage for more. You know, again, these characters such as Jaren saying the 33 doesn't mean anything, and obviously it does. He's just gatekeeping, obviously, when it comes to 33. So that gets into, you know, big name players such as Gates here, as you see. And again, the prominent 33. Here's your 3. Here's your 3 for 33. You know, and I'm really, you know, getting tired of people saying these numbers don't mean anything. And they're really obviously just gatekeeping. But of course, Gates being 33 as well in numerology, and the Microsoft Windows 95 logo, the 3, and actually within the window, another 3, and basically an 8. So really, this is your, when you break it down, this could be considered a dual 33 with your obvious 3 here, 3, and the 8 itself, you slice it in half, you have another 33. Some might say, oh, that's a stretch, but more importantly, you see that 33 in plain sight. But that gets into this individual. You know, I'm getting tired of it. You know, I try to give Witsit a break, but you know, basically he's Jaren Jr. He's just a crony. He's Jaren Jr. That's the best way to describe this individual Whitson. He's been taking shots at me for a while, and I haven't been saying anything, but I'm definitely, this needs to be brought up. And, you got to separate the wheat from the tars, and this is what I need to do here. And you're showing another stooge, gatekeeper as well. Let's take a listen to this nonsense here by Whitsitt.
I want to start by saying one of the main problems that a lot of truthers have is they auto hoax everything. They auto hoax everything. Like there are some pretty prominent people, and what they say is they say stuff like, if it's on the TV, it has to be fake. Every single thing on TV is 100% fake.
This is verbatim what Jaron says. And they're talking to a bunch of idiots that don't know the difference between their butt and a hole in the ground. They're misrepresenting, misquoting, straw manning me. Because I've never said everything. I said if it gets a 24-hour spotlight, if the news stories, they get their, say, 10, 15 minutes, not even that, a minute of airtime, those are the real ones. I've consistently said that for the longest time. So he's misrepresenting, I should say, saying people like myself are calling everything in the media fake. I never said that. I said if it makes the news cycle, it gets 24/7 coverage, it's their created story. That very simple. So again, I'm tired of the straw man, and obviously, he's good buddies with Bob, Jaron, Weiss. So a bird of a feather flock together. So he's one of them, obviously. Let's continue on.
And they'll say as soon as they hear a story like this, they'll say no one died, guaranteed, all fake. They're all actors. And what they don't realize is that actually does more damage than good. Okay? My point is to say that everything on the media is fake is stupid. It's stupid.
And who says that? Who says everything? Like I said earlier. So he's really trying to hammer the point. Again, this is basically, again, like I said earlier, this is just Jaron speaking, just another person saying verbatim what Jaron says about what I say. All right, let's continue on.
Now, obviously, everything on the media is not going to be allowed in the media until it goes through like the process of being approved by the Operation Mockingbird system. Okay? But the point is, like, everything on the media is not fake. So it's like,
that's enough of that. Let's move on here a little bit more.
My point is to say that everything on the media is fake is stupid.
I mean, that's just a repeat. I had two of the same clips back to back. Now let's get into it here. Now, this is really all about proving how Owen Benjamin has been an infiltrator from the start. No doubt whatsoever that Owen Benjamin's been a plant. Basically, a B actor, comedian that's been inserted in truth, relegated to truth, and obviously locked at the hip with Wimpy Weiss and crew. Now, listen to this for those that missed it, where basically Kanye West is promoting Owen Benjamin, and this is the most obvious, they're all working together, and that it's going to get back to Whitsitt, but definitely he's gatekeeping. Let's play the clip.
Benjamin, you got.
Let me back it up here. He said Owen Benjamin.
Fake.
Owen Benjamin, you guys got to pull this up. Dave Chappelle is a hack, and he gets a lot of his jokes from Owen Benjamin. Oh, Dave Chappelle, Jewish pop.
So I better stop it there. Yeah. So what I'm getting at here is obviously Kanye West is promoting Owen Benjamin heavily here, mentioning him twice, saying how Dave Chappelle steals his joke. So that gets into this. Okay, I might have this out of order as far as the clips, because I was trying to rush and get things together. But we'll listen to these, and this is live, so I got to make sure. I'm not quite sure if all the clips are matching back to back properly, But let's play them anyways, and we'll see how it goes.
Trooper truthers. That's what I'm gonna start calling them. The super trooper truthers. You know, like the truth police, as some people say.
I wonder who he's referring to.
Where everything is this huge orchestrated psychological operation and there is no real thing under the sun that exists. Well, I feel bad for people that think like that. And it's because they've kind of lost their ability to apply pattern recognition and to discern with intuition. And that's all that it is.
That's an absolute joke. Pattern recognition. All I've done, and others that are speaking the real truth, they see the pattern recognition of what's happening with the psyops, with all these events. So definitely you could put Witsit in the dumpster with the rest of the fake truthers, because obviously he's not speaking the real truth. And I'll say this right now. It's on his channel. He's basically crying about he's not getting enough money, not enough supporters. He might have to get a job because he's not making enough money doing this. He says, oh, if you send me $5, that's great, but don't write me a long message on PayPal. Don't write me a long message. Come on now. Like he's complaining. He complains about people that send him quote only $5 and send him a long message. Be happy you get a penny from anybody. Give me a break. So definitely, like I said, he's in the same boat with Wimpy Weiss, Jaron, basically gatekeeping for Owen Benjamin. Obviously, Globebusters crew cannot be trusted. And I'm putting it out there. This needs to be done. Let's move forward.
Paranoia. I guess Owen Benjamin is compromised too. Oh, Owen Benjamin is just starstruck. Oh, you can't trust Owen Benjamin. Well, this is the deal, right? Like, Owen Benjamin is the reason that I stopped.
I'm going to stop there because he gets into the aspect of I'll just put it lightly, of spicy movies, how Witsit had an issue with spicy movies. And I'll like I said, I'm putting it lightly. And he claims that Owen helped stop him from watching spicy movies. So he gives Owen all this credit. Give me a break. Unbelievable. Let's continue on here.
Owen Benjamin, I was there. I was one of the main ones telling him the Earth's flat. Okay. I was one of the main ones pressing him about the Earth, super chatting him about the Earth. First time he publicly admitted the Earth was flat was after he read my PayPal about it, where I said, oh, the Messiah came to Earth and didn't tell all the Hebrew people they were wrong about the Earth. Christians usually duck the question. And that was the first time he publicly said, like, F it, I think it's flat or whatever.
So, he's really patting himself in the back, giving himself credit for, quote, waking up Owen Benjamin. What a complete joke. What a complete joke it is. And here's the thing is, it's the same exact thing with Jaron, like I said. Flat or truth, I don't really have an issue. I really don't have an issue. But I have a huge issue with him calling out, quote, Professor Dave a couple of years ago. And this guy, he's only been around for a few years, by the way. Austin's only been around for a few years. I only knew about him for about, I would say, a year and a half, 2 years maybe, from Jaron's channel. But what I'm getting at is, supposedly, according to Austin, Professor Dave and this guy Bryant offered him $5,000 to debate flat Earth versus ball Earth. Why would these guys give you $5,000? I mean, what kind of joke is that? That someone has to pay you to debate $5,000? And then he said no. And then he said he talked to Wimpy Weiss, and they came up with, how about we come back with them at $10,000? And quote, he says, oh, he was only joking about it, and they accepted. It's all a pantomime. It's all a big joke. They're controlling both sides of the discussion, and it's very clear what is happening. And I show the evidence with all the controlled op, and they're all connected. That's the huge aspect. They're all connected. Let's play a little bit more here.
Is the idea that Ye's a part of it is a stretch to me. I covered some of that.
Ye being part of it, and that's obviously Kanye. quote, Kanye being part of it is a stretch, according to, and let me get to that spot here. Actually, let me get back over here. Where is that at here? So, Witsit claims that Kanye West, as you see here, being part of it is a stretch. What an absolute clown Witsit is. I'll say it twice. What an absolute clown Witsit is. To say Kanye being part of it is a stretch. Everybody part of this. It's like a movie. They're part of the script. They're not going to have control people working along non-control people. Witsit thinks people are really dumb. Jaron thinks people are really dumb. But these people that are being deceived, hey, they're the ones that are truly dumb. And yeah, I can see right through this. And this is, again, this is why, I put out the They Live Truth Police, because this needs to be exposed. It needs to be talked about, and the truth needs to be told. And the problem is you have the infiltrators on the other side pushing absolute lies and garbage. And someone needs to stand up, and it has to be me, obviously. Someone has to come out here and say something, and not let this clown Witsit say, oh, it's a stretch to believe Kanye is part of this. What a joke. You're a real joke, Witsit, and you don't get it. Let's play that again so there's no mistake about it. Gatekeeping, Witsit.
The idea that Ye's a part of it is a stretch to me. I covered some of that. We'll keep watching it. Am I fully falling for him like he's some type of, I don't know. Am I just some crazy psychopathic, paranoid conspiracy theorist that just automatically assumes everything is some big elaborate plan? No, because I'm not stupid. So
he says, see, this is the psychological aspect that's being played. He thinks he's very clever. And to me, he's extremely, extremely transparent. He's speaking to a lot of baby truthers that just fall for his garbage, his nonsense. Absolutely. Owen, Kanye, obviously AJ, they're all part of this clown show. And this is, like I said, this is important because the problem is this. There's me and there's a few others speaking real truth. They're trying to drown out the real truth with garbage like this. Jaron, David Weiss, Witsit, Bob, the list goes on and on. And this, again, I said it already multiple times. It needs to be dealt with. It needs to be exposed. What's happening, and for him to put out and Jaron to put out this type of information that Owen and Kanye are legit or could be legit, whatever. Nothing could be further from the truth. And that gets into another individual. Moving on past Witsit doesn't get it. An absolute clown show. It is. That gets into this individual who, way back when I first started covering Flat Earth, he called me a disinfo for saying that. Saying Flat Earth is disinfo. Well, you just hear. Let's take a listen. And this is a more recent clip. But again, on his own website, he brought me up and he said, Flat Earth is nonsense. It's a psyop, blah, blah, blah. But that's a while ago. Let's take a listen to what he says here most recently.
Why do I even bother doing this, And people make hit piece videos about you because you might use hand signals or sometimes people speak with their hands. I speak with my hands a lot. When I'm not standing holding a camera, I'm always using my hands. Apparently if you do this now, this means this is a Satanist symbol, apparently. This is ridiculous, folks. You film yourself talking, you're going to find yourself doing this. When you're making a point, you're going to find yourself doing this. This isn't a 666 symbol. This is just someone stressing a point.
Yeah, that's funny because he loves doing this. And this is actually, like I said, myself making a Flat Earth video since 2015 and him claiming, Max Egan claiming that it's a psyop. In this video, he talks about Flat Earth and he says the Earth is flat. And here's from a live stream with, as you see here, Brian Young, High Impact Flicks. And here's a little bit of a close-up of that. It's a little bit blurry, but it's here. And you all know what that is if you watch that stream. It's a little bit blurry, but definitely, he's basically talking about how symbols don't mean anything. The 666 sign with the hand doesn't mean anything. And it's funny because Max Egan is 33. Okay. And look at the goons he hangs out with. All right. Oh, that's something for later. That's something for later. But you see here, Egan. You see, of course, Ike. And what's this guy's name? I forgot his name. He's obviously wearing the orange shirt. I always forget this guy's name, but he's been on RT News. Someone in the chat will know. Always forget his name. But yeah, the three stooges here, basically. The three fake truthers. Let me take a look at the chat here. And someone with the someone in the chat will point out the one with the orange shirt. What was his name again? I keep forgetting his name. I'm waiting for someone in the chat to yeah, anybody in the chat. What was his name? What was that guy's name again? I'm gonna go to the YouTube side of things and take a look here. Because I don't see anybody pointing it out yet. What's going on here? That's frozen. O'Keefe, there we go. Thanks. Yeah. Thanks. Yeah. O'Keefe, that's the one. That's the one. Yes, yes. And by the way, I should mention, let me put that up there. Actually, it was stupid that I said that. So I'm going to pause here for a second before I get back to Max Egan. Again, the duality aspect, the mirror reflection is really important. When you see O'Keefe, you see the three E's. You reverse them, you have basically 3 3s. So in the center, you flip around the 2 E's, you get 33. Just like, obviously, when it's capitalized, just like sleep, just like sheep. You know, they love the duality. And again, I have to emphasize when they're capitalized, they're really big into that, like Bruce Lee, Lee. When you flip around obviously the dual E's, they're 33. So that's another aspect besides the orange shirt. Now let's get back here. More with Max Egan. Let's take a listen to what he says here. And definitely, that's the wrong one. Oh, here it is, right here. Let's take a listen again. Let's continue on where Max Egan was speaking here and downplaying the hand sign. Now let's take a listen.
Been exposing for years, and then bothered to make secret hand signals to each other, programmed fools. This sort of stuff has been spread by people like Russian Vids, who is an outright COINTEL.
Outright COINTEL, okay.
And Bitchy from Bloated also says that this is a 666 symbol. And now everybody's picked up on this, actually thinking, and this is what they're looking for. They're not listening to what people are saying.
Well, people say words are meaningless. And you see this egghead, Max Egan. I guess that's what they call him, Egan, for egghead. Yeah. Calling, my good brother, Richie, not the best names in the world. Just basically mocking. And obviously what I'm getting at here is someone needs to call these people out. And I'm the person to do it. I have to do it. And I'm going to get a lot of flack for it, I understand. But it has to be done. It has to be done. And it's obvious. So everything I've shown, there's no denying that at all. But one thing I'm moving on beyond this, off topic, but it relates how, masonry's everywhere. And actually, it's kind of funny. Let me see here. Actually, it's funny how masonry's everywhere, and guys like Max Egan's just brushing it off. So I showed this before in a past stream with this milk carton challenge, and people think this is organic. This is all over the mainstream media. You know why it's on the mainstream media? They want to promote their hidden occultic stuff in plain sight. Just like you see here with the Masonic staircase ascending to the highest level of the 33 on the Scottish Rite and on the York Rite. A little bit different, but the same. So what I'm getting at here is, the symbolism is so important. And obviously Max Egan will not point this stuff out. And this is something else here, by the way. Kirk Hammock from Metallica. I wasn't meaning to show this now, but I'll show it anyways with the 666 hat. Just another sellout. But what I'm getting at is this image here. And people that, millions upon millions of people have seen the MGM Grand and not realizing the symbolism, obviously, just like the Masonic staircase or the steps moving up in the level of masonry. And again, knowing and reading the language of symbolism and the lion symbolism as well is very, very important. I covered that before with, like, on CNN, they had this one news anchor, Amber Lion, like your lion. It's a little play on names, but they love that lion for the duality aspect. It's the, what's the old saying? The most savage beast in the jungle, whatever it is. And it also, if you're a lion, when it comes to Freemasonry. So yeah, it's very obvious, the symbolism throughout society. And let me see what else here. Dave Chappelle was brought up earlier. And just another, they're part of Kanye West, Dave Chappelle, both in the same team. Good cop, bad cop. And you see the Masonic pants rolled up. And even in the background, I pointed this out years ago. It's kind of obscured here, but I showed in a video with the X, X, and X, which is 666. The X is a 6, and this is a crop photo, but you can see clearly in the video with 3 of these. And this is not just put here randomly. They're all about, of course, symbolism, of course. And let's see what else we have here. And again, just more symbolism I want to point out. Merkel was mentioned in the chat, and here you see it, and to people like Jaron, David Weiss, Witsit, obviously Max Egan, this doesn't mean anything, because I sit down when I'm having dinner, watching TV, and I put my hands like that. So it's all innocent. It doesn't mean anything. Okay, sure. And just more of the same here with stuff that's in plain sight that I showed before with Fox in numerology is 666, FOX. They're all 6s in the chart. Now, maybe I'll just show that so people that are newer to this information, and let me do this. Actually, I have to crop this a bit here. So for anybody new that comes across this, they'll understand. And I'll just do that. So as you see in the numerology chart, Pythagorean, and you go down the line, A through I, J through R, S through Z. But again, the 6, when you line it all up, it's Fox. So, it's so very simple, and of course the red and the blue for purple, royalty, or witchcraft, like I said. So anybody telling you the numbers and the symbols are meaningless, run far away. Very, these people are just obviously, and that gets into people like Art Bell, like I showed before, clearly disinfo agents. His logo with the Polaris, Lucifer, the all-seeing eye, and obviously, just like NASA, the serpentine type tail, and the symbolic bell. And he was born Arthur Bell. Arthur Bell's 33 as well. So there's a lot going on here, of course, with the so-called truth speaker Art Bell. And again, one thing I want to point out about the duality aspect of Freemasonry, we'll get into the dual-headed eagle, but the 33, you have, this is one thing people, don't realize, is not only do you have 33 here, you have the ribbon, which is 33 numerology. You have your dual 33s, and even in the wings themselves. But more importantly, again, the 33 in the letters themselves. I'm sorry, the numbers themselves, the ribbon, and also the diamond, the inverted diamond. Diamond's 33. So you have your 33, 33, and 33, and the G being 33 as well. So yeah, just reading all, and obviously too, with the laurel wreath represents victory. Everything is there. You just got to read everything. There is also the pole star as well, like I mentioned in previous videos. And just more about the number game. Rihanna, when this first came out years ago, I covered it with Rihanna and her 7 countries, 7 days, 7 shows tour. And the diamond being 33. But the point being is everything here, of course, has to do with the occult, and obviously with Crowley here. And I showed this before, but let me show this one here. So again, this is Order to Chaos and other Kabbalistic writings of Aleister Crowley. And yeah, all the symbolism, the winged, let's see here. And also, here's one that's funny. Is Bill Hicks, AJ. And look at the hand pose. He would be propped up, being interviewed by CNN, being all over the place, unless he was on the payroll. Just like, Carlin and the rest, all of them. They're all part of the Brotherhood, just playing different roles on the world stage. And I found this pretty funny with Rick and Morty. And he's wearing the orange shirt in the court, handcuffed here. And I, of course, pay attention to the letters. And you get a little bit of a close-up here. And anybody can do this. Look it up yourself. Use the numerology calculator. 184217. It was the 19. And what do you get here when you get a little bit of a close-up and you get your 33? These people think they're clever. And the normies are never going to understand or get it. But you're not going to have a spot on TV unless you're a Mason. Not very simple. Of any importance, of course. I'm not talking about a guy that gets, in the background of some newscast, his head's in the background. I'm talking about any prominent type of placing on the mainstream. You're going to be part of the Brotherhood, and definitely with Rick and Morty, there's no exception. And just a few other just odds and ends here. Again with the Simpsons, with the 322, Mr. Burns being 33, Rothschild, and it says here you must be this rich to enter. And again, the skull and bones in the 322 and the bricks, and just more symbolism, just random stuff I'm putting out there with inner space. They're putting it right in our faces with inner space, just like with Disneyland when they have that, when they're promo videos, they always have that, shooting star, just like you see here, and basically showing the dome with inner space. It's so in your face with inner space. All right, something else I want to show, because I had a conversation. Well, actually, there's two more things. Actually, I'm sorry, two more things. Again, talking about, and I skipped over this when I was talking about Art Bell and the bell symbolism. Bell means Lord in, of course, ancient Babylon, but they put it in Christmas with the bells too, of course, and the holly, from the holly tree, the holly leaves as well. And it's Christ Mass, not birth, but death. And let's see here as well. And again, the symbolism, just in plain sight, as you see here with these two individuals. And that gets back to Max Egan, where he talks about listening to people and not paying attention to hand signs or what they're doing. And definitely that's a misdirect on purpose. They're desperate. People like Jaron, Max Egan are desperate to hide or conceal the importance of symbolism. They're working very hard to, make fun of it. It's no big deal. Doesn't mean anything. Same with Dell. They're all doing the same work, the devil's work, and that's to hide, desperately hide the importance of symbolism when it comes to Masons. And obviously, they're paid to do so. I have no doubt about it. And that gets into actually something I was discussing with Romina. Let me see, where did I put that? Where was it at? And this goes back to 1958. This is a movie I watched on my local KTVU TV station in the San Francisco area. And when I was a child, very young, I used to love this movie that was released back in, was it 1958? The Seventh Voyage of Sinbad. And there's multiple things. So the good guy in this is Sinbad, but we know what Sinbad means. It means to sin bad. They love that name, Sinbad, just like the comedian Sinbad. But again, the Masonic clues are in plain sight, just like you see here when it comes to the dual-headed eagle or the phoenix, whatever you want to call it. Basically, as we see here, this is a discussion I had with Ramina, and she spotted this stuff right away after I sent this movie for her to watch. And she picked out every little Masonic thing right away. She's very good at that. And the Cyclops, obviously the one-eyed Cyclops, which looks like a demon with the unicorn, the one horn in the one eye, which I found interesting, is Cyclops being 33 in numerology. Very interesting stuff. But again, I mean, the fingerprints are everywhere, in movies, in the latest fads, in construction of buildings. I mean, flat earth truth, they put it in plain sight. Everything, again, I said it a million times, everything's in plain sight for all to see. And definitely getting back. With it, you're done. You just, you dug yourself a hole you can't escape out of. Anybody that's been involved with truth long enough will know what you're saying is nonsense. Basically saying, you're stupid if you think, this is a conspiracy with Kanye and Owen Benjamin, gatekeeping for both of them. So yeah, it's so very transparent for me, and I'm sure very transparent to many people in the chat. And let me see here. Let me close. I'm not going to close it up, but I'll just I'll leave it on this image. They Live Truth Police. Very fitting as we take a look. Oh, and I forgot I left the Oakley thing. I hope it didn't obscure too many things I was showing, but I left that up the whole entire time. All right, let's see here. Absolutely. Here's the thing is, I said it before, where everybody's true side comes out in the end, the good, bad, and the ugly with everybody. We all get to know who's who, and it's obvious who the gatekeepers are. If you're part of the Globe Busters crew, you're one of them. You're not just some random person being allowed to be in there. So once you realize Bob, Jaron, they were inserted, and anybody that's allowed to be part of that, like with Jaron bringing on Alex Stein, he's part of. I'm talking about regular guest, regular part of the show, and yeah, it's obvious, very obvious. Yeah, Barry, they all slip up, and but I also believe, the connections I made they're undeniable. The gatekeeping is so obvious, and it's a blind man can see. They're really working hard to legitimize Kanye West, Owen Benjamin, and so specifically David Weiss. He's really, really pushing, Owen Benjamin heavily. And obviously, you just saw Witsit do the same thing, and they're not going to like this, but too bad, too bad for them. I just spoil their whole party, their whole facade, their whole, everything they're trying to pull off to their audience. Obviously, it's nothing but a big con job, to say the least. Let me take a look here, really quickly. I have to take a quick peek at something, and I'll be back looking at the chat and see what we got here. And let me take a quick peek here. All right, let's take a look here. Hold on, everyone. This will only be a minute, or less than a minute, I should say. Let's see here. All right, let me take a look. Then like I said, I'll look at the chat and definitely screenshot a lot of stuff, a lot to take in. And more than likely, I'm going to do another separate video on this, just sharing the non-dialogue with the audience in the chat and just spotlight things. Actually, I might just do do a couple videos on some of the topics, like maybe a separate video on Katy Perry. I think that needs to be spotlighted for sure. I need to really spotlight that so people that understand what's happening here. And again, this is recent with Katy Perry. I'll bring up flat Earth, but that outfit with the again with the cube on her head and the charred glass, the basically mocking God's firmament with the broken glass, just like Hillary Clinton mentioned the glass ceiling as well. So we'll see how moving forward what I'll do as far as contents of this stream. I might chop it up and put a little bit as separate videos, because the point, people say, why would you do that? You already have it here in a live stream. The point is, I want to make it more shareable. There's important nuggets that are in a, say for example, a 2 or 3 or 4 hour live stream, and a lot of people don't have time to dig through the information. So moving forward, I want to spotlight some of that, so definitely want to do that. Yeah, Charlie, you said it there as far as Charles Darwin being 33, by the way, high level masonry. Yeah, all these people propped up, Bill Nye, Neil deGrasse Tyson. Even though I like some of the stuff Neil deGrasse Tyson says, he's just playing. He's playing that funny role of, he says we live in a ball, and then he talks about, Branson not actually being in space. Saying that Felix Baumgartner didn't actually go into space. One thing people missed about Neil deGrasse Tyson, when he says during that clip I played many times about how Felix Baumgartner jumped out of that balloon, he didn't say out of, what he's referring to is basically when he did that jump, it was literally out of one of those hot air balloons. He just jumped out of the basket or whatnot, That's all he did. He obviously wasn't really in space. So, it's just like I said a million times, just a production. That's it. Yeah, that's definitely something I've covered before. And and Trump mentioned the dual 33 with the emails. Yeah, Rocky Shepherd, that's 100%. I'm just saying, there's few people that are going to see this, and it's a gift from God, really. It's you hit the nail on the head, and the people that don't see it, they're not intended to see it. So don't be frustrated when people don't get it. They're not intended to see it. It's really a gift from the Creator for certain people to get it. And there's a lot of people trying to make sure that people don't get right with God and lose it all. I mean, here's the funny thing is it's really important to mention this, during these times where you had Oprah Winfrey saying there's many ways to the Creator when the Bible specifically says there's only one way, and that's through Jesus Christ. So what happens here in truth? A lot of people saying basically the same thing Oprah says. There's many ways to the Creator. They really paint a bad picture on Christianity. Doubting Christ, all these things. So that's the most important truth. And they don't care if you figure out that the earth is flat. They don't care if you find out all the other deceptions, but they want to make sure the most important truth is concealed from you. That's really the whole the most important part of this is like I said before, and I'll say it over and over again. The flat earth truth is a really important ingredient to realizing there's a Creator, but the whole thing is flat earth by itself will not save your soul. Just like if you want to bake a cake, cake flour by itself is not going to make a cake. There's other ingredients, other aspects, other important ingredients as well that you need to make that cake. So, it's so important for people to understand that aspect. All right, let's take a look here. And there's John 14:6's channel there. That's okay, no problem, because I've been on the screen share side of things, and I'm not seeing everything that's happening in the chat. And great to see in there my great brother there, John Edwards in Australia. Great dude, great supporter for the longest time. Great to see in there. Fantastic brother. That's hilarious, Jim. Yeah, Neil deGrasse Tyson dropping. Well, if you ask Dell, Earth is accelerating up. So what's happening is, actually, it's meeting each other because Earth is accelerating up. What a joke! What an absolute joke that is. Give me a break. All good, man. No worries. All good. Yeah, Michael, I see that. I've covered all that with Gabby Giffords and all that years ago, and that's a bit of a topic that I can't really cover here. But yeah, that's something that I seen go on, and definitely these people high up in deception, they're propped up. This is interesting by Paul. Harvey, I need to prove to you that broken mirrors has always represented split personality disorder and MKO. They say about breaking a mirror, was it 7 years of bad luck? But I think that's from keeping people from breaking them. But whatever the case is, there's a lot of symbolism with the glass ceiling in mirrors. Mirrors are huge, huge. Yeah, all good on that. It needed to be done because, listen, I said it before where, sitting back and looking back at everything that's taken place, I see everything that's happening. I don't say everything that I know, but, Jaron made a huge mistake with Witsit, basically going after my work on Greg Anderson. I never, and then after that, then the gloves came off. Because he was gatekeeping on this. They were both gatekeeping on the symbolism. Yeah, the 18 is prevalent, Sunflower. Yeah, they love, like Barack Hussein Obama, 18. They love the 18. They also love the 21. 21 is 777. So that they love that stuff. But again, 777 is not bad by itself. It's the duality aspect. It's also 1 and 8 is 9 as well. So there's many things to that 18. Well, Robert, 1969. Yeah, I mean, basically, if you're gonna be propped up, they all have. They all chose that path, and that's the thing about people. When people are desperately liked and accepted or famous, they don't know what they're getting themselves into. You get in so deep, there's no turning back for many of them. So, that's their choice. Yeah, there's no doubt whatsoever. And I'm going to keep repeating this, Robert, with Wimpy Weiss, when you say he really did throw that debate with Professor Dave. It has to be controlled. There's too much at stake for a guy that's so huge in the algorithm when it comes to flat Earth. And again, I said it before, but I'm going to keep saying, I'll say it every stream. Imagine Professor Dave losing that debate, and that has millions upon millions upon millions of views by someone that's not controlled, that someone that's not in the tank. That would be a huge, huge win for flat Earth. But him taking the dive, which was so obvious with Wimpy Weiss, yeah, and what happens is it happens every time. Just like when Jaron failed purposely, like when Bob failed purposely, they all come back to the group and they make excuses. Every excuse you can imagine of why. Oh, I was misrepresented, this, and this, and clever editing on their part, blah, 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 whatever. And then the followers just fall for their excuses and keep following them. So it's okay for, quote, flat earth gurus to do good in front of their audience as long as they don't look good in front of the masses. So in front of there's very small, relatively very small following. And that's the funny thing too. I mean, there's so many suspicious things. You look at Jaren's channel. He's, for someone that has over 150,000 views, I'm sorry, 150,000 subscribers, he has such wimpy, minuscule, puny, view counts for such a large channel. And that same thing goes for Professor Dave. They have very meager view counts. That just tells me that their sub counts are inflated. They're not real. They're paid for. They're bought. And it's so obvious. It's ridiculous. All right, I'm going to go for a little bit longer. I'm not going to go too long tonight. Go for a little bit more here. Let's see here. Oh, that's a great one there, Ramina, of Despotar, from 2 Corinthians 11:14, Bible verse warning us about shills, and no marvel, for Satan himself is transformed into an angel of light. Yeah, that's what they're doing. But to people that, here's the thing is, for people that really get it, that really understand, they can see through the fake news. They can also see through the fake truth speakers, so-called truthers, pushing Kanye as not controlled. Oh, you're stupid if you think it's all orchestrated. And they try to insult you so you don't go in that direction. Oh, I don't want to be stupid. So I'm going to believe Owen Benjamin and Kanye West are legit. And not everything is controlled. If it's at that level, it's going to be controlled. And I'm going to hammer this point. I'm going to continue to hammer this point. It's a very important point that the world's literally a stage. And if it gets a spotlight, these people get the spotlight, they're part of it. All of them. You're not going to be, promptly displayed in the mainstream media, talked about, and not be part of it, a part of their rigged system. Yeah, I said that before, and that's a great point, Sunflower. And I said that before with the peace sign from ancient India. It was reversed, and they turned good into evil, evil into good. Same with the cross of Nero, the upside down cross. Something bad they turn into, quote, something good with the peace sign with the hippies. So yeah, they've constantly done that. Yeah, I mean, that's, here's the thing is, I'm going to be honest. I haven't seen Eric debate anybody. And here's the thing is, and I said it before, I like Eric Dubay's presentations, even though they're monotone, they're good. They're good for sharing. They're a good stepping stone for Flat Earth. But, the other issues is everything else he pushes, I don't agree with for the most part. Dinosaurs fake is, I agree, in Flat Earth, but that's pretty much it. And I really don't, I've really taken, a back seat when it comes to Eric Dubay, as far as, calling him out, because I feel like these other ones, they really need to be spotlighted, much more, because at least Eric Dubay is presenting, really, really good presentations when it comes to Flat Earth. And basically, Jaren and company are just a clown show. They had that with Witsit. They had the Clown World Tour, and they're literally transformed from truth to now it's like a game show. It's like watching Jay Leno or Johnny Carson. It's turned into entertainment, and they try to do rap songs or these kind of songs, or it's just an embarrassment. Jaren's an utter embarrassment to truth. Calling DC real. What an absolute clown that guy is. Wow. And anybody that believes Jaren or super chats Jaren, wow, they're just beyond lost. Beyond lost. But hey, it's like I said, it's just like trying to wake up people to fake politics, wake up people to the fake televangelists. They don't want to hear it. Try to explain to someone that follows Joel Osteen that he's a deceiver. They don't want to hear it. They don't want to hear it. Yeah, as far as let me see, and I see good to see in there again, Jason. He goes, yes, sir. And let me see. Bob is mentioning the thoughts of denominations of Christianity. Yeah, I'm non-denominational. I don't want to, be part of any of this. And that gets into something I'm going to talk to with Flat Earth Banjo this Sunday. We're going to get more of that topic because none of these denominations are obviously speaking the flat earth truth, exposing all the deceptions that are taking place throughout the world. So honestly, I don't mean to be too blunt, but I'm going to say it. So what good are they? And that's the reality. They're not preaching. They're not teaching the real biblical truth. So for the normies, you pick one, but it's like picking left or right politics. It's you're being, the same thing. You're being led astray. Oh, thanks so much for that, brother. I appreciate that. Jason, 410, love and respect the grind, a true diamond. Thanks so much, brother. I really appreciate you so very much, brother. You've been so very supportive of the channel, and I appreciate you, all my patrons, all the supporters, Nathan, Daryl Dessa, everybody that's been supportive of the channel. I greatly appreciate it. Thanks so much, brother. All right, let's see what else we have here. Yes. And John 14:6 says it here. And thanks so much once again, Jason 410. I want to screen share this. What John 14:6 says here. Don't go to ever organized church except to expose evil and spread the gospel. Read the Bible for yourself. Basically, the best way to sum it up, you don't need a middleman. You need good discernment. You need to when you read the Bible, pray for discernment. And that's the problem, is consensus within many of these denominations of churches. You try to introduce the flat earth truth that's in the Bible and they reject it, and it's, what are you going to do? They believe in, these people that, go to church, they believe in the moon landing. So what are you going to do? Yeah. And Otako, yeah, I agree with when it comes to this topic here. Yeah, I mean, it's a classic. I wasn't going to talk about Dubé anymore, but it's basically what's been happening. In the beginning, like I said, with Dell and all these people, they speak really good truth, and they're like spot on with so much that once they pull in many people in their nets, then here comes, Jesus doesn't exist. These kind of things, small mustache man was a hero, when we know the world's a stage, obviously. And, obviously that man was propped up by the Vatican. Wow. And Rocky Shepherd says, my pastor was fluent in Hebrew and Greek. If he was fluent in Hebrew and Greek, he should be able to read the original text and know for a fact the Bible is fixed, it's flat, it doesn't move, and God's above us. The Creator's above us. So if he's fluent in those languages, he should know that. Then he should definitely know that. Yes, that's 100%. And like I said before too, the funny thing is every image of a supposed photograph, with the astronauts on the moon, you see the fake phony baller. But what people don't realize is literally all the landing spots, your head should be pointing towards Earth. There shouldn't be this view of from the horizon angle looking like that. The angle's way off. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't add up. Because obviously you can't land on the moon. The moon's a light. Not something you can land on. Yeah, 100% Austin Allen. Be wise as serpents and as gentle as or innocent or gentle as doves. 100%. And let me see this one here by El Despertor Ramina. NASA is just Satan minus a T. That's why they say T minus when they blast 100%. I actually played that clip where they said T minus 33, and that one Jeff Bezos, the Jeff Bezos video that I put out with William Shatner and Michael Strahan, where that was mentioned on a so-called takeoff. 100%. And definitely moving forward, I'm going to make some more videos. Like I said, I want to spotlight that Katy Perry in a single video. I want to do some more videos on the video game industry, transhumanization. Also take a step back and maybe make another solo video on the Astrodome. Let's see what else. Alcatraz. I want to touch upon Alcatraz again. There's things I've seen over the last few years. I made a video about that a while ago, but there's things that I've seen about Alcatraz that makes it more laughable with the so-called escape, which was the biggest joke. I'll definitely want to do another Alcatraz video moving forward. Wow. Let me see here. Yeah, and that's definitely a very good find by El Despertor Ramina, 100%. Yeah, definitely Ramina is. You got that nailed in the head there, Barry. Ramina's very, very good at this stuff. Yeah, Charlie, it's frustrating, but there's people that I know personally that are flat earthers, and so many told me the same thing. Oh, I love your work, but flat earth is I can't believe you're talking about this stuff. This has been debunked years ago. But once you see all the lies, once you see so many lies, they're lying about everything. They're lying about little things and big things. They're lying about it. And that's another video I'm going to make, is not only are they making, fake news on certain aspect of events, they're also doing it on the other side, the feel-good stories as well. They're not just faking the bad stuff, they're faking the good stuff, faking it all. But I'm going to do a presentation on that moving forward as well. And also NASA in Hebrew means to deceive as well. Oh, you're very welcome, Ramina. Thanks for the love. Appreciate that. Back at you, hon. Thank you so much. All right, let me scroll up here. I'm going to close up pretty soon. I've been going on for 2.5 hours. The plan is moving forward is to do 2 to 3 hour streams, maybe sometimes 1 hour. What I'm getting at is instead of one long stream for 5 hours, 6 hours, maybe spread out the information, spread out the chats, go for an hour. Like, for example, if I see something on the news, maybe that day or the next day I'll cover it on that specific topic. But I definitely want to do something different because I think the 5 hour streams are good for people like, and I've heard this from people like better than gold, people that drive trucks, drive long distance. That's good, but a lot of people, they don't have time to sit down for 5 hours and to catch the whole stream. Yeah, Robert, I agree with you on everything you're saying. There's 100%. There's multiple facets. It's a honey trap. 100%. No doubt about it. No doubt about it whatsoever. Agreed, brother. Well, it's much easier to be asleep in this world full of lies, but I wouldn't have any other way. It's being awake, being red pilled is not the easy way, but it's the right way. And it's like swimming upstream. It's difficult, but it's very much worth it. Very much worth it. Who wants to live their whole life in deception, and then when you leave this world, your whole world was nothing but a fantasy? With characters like Elon Musk, Donald Trump, all these fakers, and it's so transparent, so easy to see. And people have to see it for themselves. You could explain it to people until you're, blue in the face or red in the face. And some people will never get it no matter what information you show them. They don't want to believe it. That's why they're not going to believe it. Doesn't matter what evidence you put out there, they're going to deny. Because they're followers, they're not leaders themselves, and they don't know how to walk their own path. So that's a huge part of it. All right, let's see what else we got here. But the gist of this live stream is really to show moving forward. Obviously huge in the news is Kanye. Then he gives a big shout out to Owen Benjamin. That's really, and don't be surprised. Obviously, Kanye comes out. That's, I haven't heard anybody say this, but don't be surprised, quote, if Kanye becomes a flat earther, because his discussions with Owen, then it's gonna, really create a larger debate. I'm not privy to their script. I can't say for sure, but if it happens, you might have heard it here first. We'll see, though. We don't know, and that's one thing I'm very careful about is these type of predictions. We don't know. We don't know what they're going to do, but that's a likely scenario, possible scenario. But here's the thing: is I'm just going to be very blunt about Owen. I appreciate in the beginning. I appreciate the kind things he said about me, but I know people do that to kind of like, they buddy up with me or say nice things about me, so I don't say anything about them. But let's be real. When you listen to Owen speak, for example, he talks about the moon landing being a hoax. Nothing he says is anything new. I haven't heard Owen say anything new. Nothing he said is really new. He's just maybe, in some people's eyes, good at wording things, being an actor, a public speaker, or whatever. But to me, I haven't learned anything new. I haven't learned a single thing from Owen. There's nothing he has said or stated that is new to me. And that's the thing is, we need some new information out there. Yeah, some things, it's obviously going to be repetitive with a lot of things, but we need to have that solid foundation, but also there needs to be new information discovered. And that's really the big thing. That's really the big thing. So a combination of repetitive things for the new viewers and obviously the new discoveries and breaking down the latest nonsense as well. Well, that's a good one there. I didn't. That's a good one there. Brian is NASA T minus is 33 in Chaldean. All right, David, you have a good night. God bless you, brother. Thanks for tuning in. I'm going to close it out pretty soon, too. I'm just going to take a look at the last few comments here. And yeah, that's the biggest joke, dude. That's the biggest joke is Kanye's. Oh, wow. What an absolute. I mean, supposedly being married to Kim Kardashian, and he's not, he's not a puppet. He's not controlled. Wow. Witsit just, Witsit did it to himself. I mean, really. I mean, anybody that's fluent in truth knows that Witsit is just a Jaren and Bob, a Globebuster, a sock puppet. My new name for Witsit is Jaren Jr. because basically everything Jaren says, he just regurgitates, and says it to his audience. Literally nothing new. Absolutely nothing new. As far as, putting out anything different than what Jaren's saying. It's the same stuff, same nonsense. And I'm sure, just like Jerkinism, he believes what went down in DC was real as well, just like Jaren does. What an absolute joke. So anyways, we've been going on for over 2.5 hours. It's getting a bit late, and I want to thank you all for tuning in. And again, some of the stuff I talk about, I cover, I think is really important. I think it's important. People know through evidence, not just quote opinion or conjecture, what I'm putting out there, solid information as far as these individuals being spotlighted on TV, pushing fake garbage, which I have no patience for. I have no patience for whatsoever. But on that note, I want to thank everybody once again. Thank you, Ramina. I appreciate you so very much for all your help. Behind the scenes, tremendous help, tremendous a friend. We're like, peas and carrots, Ramina and I, when it comes to, looking at truth and definitely the passion for the truth. We have that very much in common. And thanks again, everyone, for tuning in. And definitely look forward to new videos moving forward. I'm pretty busy with, like everybody else is in their everyday life. I try to fit it in. This is not something I do for a living. I try to do it when I can, and definitely, it's not easy to fit it in, but I try to make time. And also, Krista M, I just saw you there as well. You have a good night and God bless, and definitely to everybody else out there as well. You all take care. Have a good night. Until next time, God bless.